Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hello, everybody.
So we're just at the beginning of October at this point. So it would be so we only have a few weeks till Halloween. So we thought we would cover a comedy horror or comedy, if you will.
Well, it's a comedy which could be a horror, but it's too light-hearted to be a total horror. So it comes into a comedy of a vampire. How's that?
Yes. So this one's called Love Bites. That was released in 1993, and I was going to cover it, years back, but I guess I got tangled up with some other movies as I go along. So, Mike, what do you got to say about this film project?
Oh, lots of good groovy things, but not as much as I like. I think this went either straight to VHS tape, or it might have had a limited cinema run. I can't find enough information on it. It might have gone to TV. I have got no idea.
Yeah,
right?
I have no clue.
But it was released in 1993, as Sarah said. Produced by Wayne Marmonstein. Marmonstein? Yeah, Marmonstein. Yeah. Marmostein. Now, Wayne actually produced it, directed, and wrote it. He's also the car park attendant. Whatever. I like people. So it sounds like an independent. So that's my gut feeling on it. I don't know anything about production. So production details on it. So I can't tell you how much it cost budget-wise. And there's no ticket sales for the box office, so that's what makes me think it went straight to VHS or TV or something. But,
pretty much. We don't know the distributor who would have been done it.
No, I can't. I went onto different sites. I couldn't find it. IMBD didn't help me. Wikipedia didn't help me. Some other places didn't help me. So,
it was probably it probably had a very limited release and got lost in the shuffle.
I don't think at the time, I can't even find reviews on it. I think it was, I think it flew under the radar a bit maybe. And the people who saw it were expecting more. It probably didn't get a fair run from people, critics, whatever.
Even after the fact that this one has a sort of pops idol in it. There was a 1980s singer in it. You would think that would land an audience.
Having said that, I'll go into the cast now and see if anybody recognises this blast from the past. Okay.
Right.
There was a band a long time ago called Adam and the Ants. And the head ant was Adam. So Adam Ant, he plays a lead role. He plays Zachary Sims. He's a very nice, very friendly vampire type guy. I won't go into it too much. Sarah will tell the story in a minute. Stop chafing a bit out there. A lady called Kimberly Foster plays a lady he meets in a funny way, and then she's playing a role of Kendall Gordon. Roger Rose plays Dwight Putnam, who is Kendall's boyfriend at the time the movie starts. Okay, so it does fall apart a bit. Now, a very attractive lady, Michelle Forbes, plays Narissa.
She's beautiful.
And she's a female vampire who used to hang out with Zachary about 300 years ago.
I saw a photo of her, now, I think, a few years later, and she looks beautiful.
She's a very beautiful lady,
now.
yeah. So they chose wisely to get the nice sort of features for these exotic vampire types. How's that?
Yeah.
There is one. I was going to go through a couple of other. It's two more I'll just mention.
Okay.
Philip Bruns, Bruns. I think I know his name from somewhere. Can't put my finger on it. But he plays the role of Vinny String. No, Helsting. Now, Van Helsing, Vinny Helsting,
or Vincent Price,
or Uncle Vinny, yeah. So they threw that in there, but maybe a little bit of a tribute to Vincent Price and a bit of a hint at Van Helsing. Now, there is a lady, I was not going to mention it, I thought, oh, bugger it. Judy Tenuta, Tenuta. She plays Sergeant Farfalloni.
Yeah, she's a lot of the comic relief in this one.
She's a bit of a comic relief at the police station, and look, I don't necessarily... I like her and I hate her. I just don't like the role, but she is really funny.
She's like,
she's really she's over the top. she's you're either going to love her or hate her if you watch this movie. So, yeah. But she's okay.
Okay.
Do I like it? I don't know. Anyway. I
wouldn't be surprised she was one of those stand-up comedy actors you see in those bars, and they just act all weird and stuff.
But she just put on this really outrageous role, and it was, depending on what your sense of humour is like, whether you like her or hate her. And I'm sort of on the fence, Now, I've got nothing to talk about in this one. But I will say, it's an old movie.
And there's no reception about it.
It's not. It's 1993. It's an older movie. It may have not been an A movie. I can't tell. It didn't. I don't think it did the cinemas or a very limited run.
Yeah.
But I think it's a worthwhile movie if you like a bit of a chuckle.
Yeah. Before the added YouTube thingy wing that came into view, guys, we had movies that went directly to TV, and they got a limited run, and only a small rating of audiences may have seen it.
Well, especially those mini-series like Rose Red and stuff, that was made for TV, and then they did Rose Red on the TV it's syndicated for a couple of months, and then it came out in video, or your DVD or whatever.
DVD or video,
yeah, and that sort of things. Well, that's fine. There's some very, very good programs being made for television. Is it HBO does them? Oh, no, Hallmark.
Hallmark, yeah.
Hallmark does some really exceptionally good stuff for TV.
Yeah,
So,
I mean...
They do some of the Sherlock Holmes stuff?
Yeah, they did. I think a few. Mostly Hallmark, but they kind of focus more on romances and comedies.
But they do that. But remember that one? Was it the... What was it? The one... what's it called? The one where the guy you always saved by the church.
I think I know which one you're referring to, but I don't recall.
Was it the vampire or something square or something or other? Or?
Yeah, something about the Whitechapel vampire.
Something like that. And that was done by Hallmark, and that was really, really good. Yeah. So, very funny. They get some good stuff happening.
Do you mind if I get stuck into the story itself, considering with the fact we don't have very much to cover in this movie?
I know. It's called padding. No, but there's nothing. I wouldn't go away from telling movies.
True.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Although there is quite a few out there that you should avoid, because some of them they get lost in the shuffle with adult films sometimes. Some of them.
Okay, there are going to be some lame-o ones.
Cheapo. I have a cheap budget. Might as well throw in a funny dressed lady, yada.
Bit of a formula job,
and they think
like a sitcom,
and they try to pass it off as good, good filming, but actually it comes off as crummy.
Do you want to start telling the tale of woe?
Yes, I will. So the story begins where Kendall and her boyfriend Dwight. They come home after a date, and he's discussing a possibility of getting married. But she's like, we both went through divorces. Dwight went through 2 divorces, while she went on 1 divorce, obviously. And she's thinking that Dwight may not be the one. She's looking for the perfect, ideal man.
And I'm already taken.
Yes. Sadly, Mike is taken already. So, anyway, while there's lightning flashing outside, and she's distracted by the lightning, but when he asks again, will you marry me? She finally says yes. And he says, all right, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to write a prenuptial agreement, get my lawyer, and I'll go get a parking spot and come back later.
And she had no idea what he was talking about because she wasn't paying attention.
No, she was distracted. Anyway, she goes upstairs. While this is all happening, in sort of a secret room inside the house.
There's a secret doorway in the fireplace in the hearth, which goes into a secret little stairway which goes under the house into a crypt.
Yes.
And guess who's there living in the crypt or sleeping in the crypt? Not actually living.
Yeah. The lightning flashes and kind of knocks over a candlestick and kind of knocks the coffin.
Yeah.
And then
it wakes him up. Yeah. He's been asleep for a couple of years.
He then finally wakes up in a Dracula sense, and he heads upstairs, and then he goes up to where Kendall is having her snooze, because it's late at night, so you guys know, or getting close to morning. I think, I'm not sure at this point in time.
I don't know. It could have been midnight, or they've been out for a date.
Yeah.
So it would have been late at night, possibly.
Whatever. Anyway, he goes to her room and he tries to have a little bit of drinking her blood. At first, she thinks he's just Dwight getting his you-know-what on. But he kind of phones her on her answering machine, telling her that he couldn't find a parking space, so he'll see her probably tomorrow or something. Anyway, she realizes that this guy in her bed is not Dwight, it's a stranger of sort. She freaks out and she nearly chops him in a few senses.
In a very comedic way.
And he tries to convey the fact that he's a vampire, but she thinks he's a sex offender.
Sex fiend, whatever. Yeah.
Anyway, he then tries to depart, but then he notices the sun rising, so he quickly goes back to her room and lies down for a nap. And of course, she tries to yank him off the bed. I'm sorry, I'm using the funny term, but she finds out he's stone cold,
he's dead.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
And she also finds ancient coins in his wallet, his pants pocket.
Yeah.
She then calls up the police, and this is where that comedy routine I told you guys about, where it's that funny lady who thinks.
And we won't go into too much of the
dialogue. It's too funny.
But she's saying different things, trying to say, I've got a problem here, and
I have a thing in my bed.
But it's a play on words, which I'm not going to say now because we give it away. But everything she said, there was a good comeback for this police officer. And it was a very funny,
witty and weird
exchange of thingies. Needless to say that she had no satisfaction from the police.
Anyway, she then, I guess, she leaves to go to work, and there she tries to do research on vampires herself, obviously.
Yes.
And, of course, she leaves work early again, and she goes back to the house. She wears a neck
bracelet. You know, when you had a sort of damaged neck, you had that big white brace put around your neck to protect your neck.
Yeah.
Puts one of those on just in case.
Of course, she also gets a crucifix and stuff and a mirror, and she tries to tries to figure out if he is what he is. Of course, she goes to the basement where the hidden room is, and she told her earlier that if I am asleep, when I'm asleep, take me down to my crypt that's in behind
if I don't wake up,
put me down the crypt and all that stuff. Of course, she goes down there to investigate. While this is happening, Dwight comes back, and he comes to Kendall's room, and he nearly comes to... It's funny, this bit, really, to be honest.
The little vampire guy, he's laying on the bed, obviously sleeping, but the covers are pulled up over his head.
Snooze.
Dwight doesn't know that somebody else is in the bed who isn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So he said, oh, great. He takes all his clothes off.
Yeah.
And he gets ready to jump in the bed. He's on top of the sheets there, on top of the blankets, not knowing.
No, he's humping a dead man.
He's not humping anything yet. And he's getting ready to do some humping. And then he finds out there's a man under the blankets.
Yeah, and he sees Kendall, and he thinks that they're going to have a threesome.
Yes,
And she even tries to explain, several times that about that he's a vampire, but unfortunately it gets misinterpreted again. And she then pushes him out, and then later on, Zach finally wakes up, and this time
what was that noise about?
Yeah, she goes on to explain that Dwight tried to have his way with him.
How rude!
Of course, she goes on to explain that she's divorced and stuff, and he's like saying, "How do you bear the disgrace?" Considering back
Back
then,
in his day, 300 years earlier, that would have been a bit of a disgrace, you know.
yeah, you'd be sort of a spinster or something.
Shut up! You would. No, it was like an unmarried female or divorced female was not socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Forget the spinster bit.
yeah. She then goes on to ask him, how did he become a vampire? And he goes on to explain that vampires are not born, they're bitten. And he tells her about Nerissa, the girl that bit him regularly.
Well, God.
According to him, she was bitten. It takes more than just one bite to become a vampire.
A couple, yeah.
It takes a few. Anyway,
and they lived together for 100 years.
Yeah, of course. One day.
Wait. Yeah. In 1988, he was bitten. So you get your time frames here. 1688. Sorry.
Yeah. Then one day, Nerissa bites a politician and kind of develops a taste for politics and powerful men. So she kind of leaves Zachary, and Zachary decides to go to his coffin and sleep for
100 years. Yes. However, he missed the 100-year wake-up call on his alarm clock, and he set for 200 years.
Yeah. So he wants to take a look around before he closes the lid again. So they actually go to a party and actually checked out New York. This is in New York, so you guys know.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And he's impressed by the modern changes because to him, back in the 18 whatever, that was considered sort of swamp and forest lands.
It would have been a swamp back in those, or very swampy, and had a bit of backfill and etc. Well, everyone in America knows the history of New York, but we don't need to tell them about it.
True.
But he had when he last went to bed, there was no electric light, there was no refrigerators,
there was no cars,
there was no motor cars. There was no nothing. And there wasn't any VCRs, DVDs, PCs.
Well, DVDs weren't invented yet.
Mobile phones, none of that. So you wouldn't be able to listen to the podcast, would you?
Yes. They then go to the party where he impresses them with his own line dancing or something.
Yeah, he does his own little style. Yeah, he's very outgoing.
And he then takes Kendall.
John Travolta there for a bit, didn't he? Yeah.
And he also does a bit of his period type dancing with Kendall, and she actually, I think she was enjoying herself with his dance moves. And when she's out to get some refreshments, he goes and meets he kind of drinks some blood from a girl who's stoned or drugged or just high.
A bit stoned, maybe, you know.
And as he's staring into her eyes, he starts drinking her, and
Slurp.
And Kendall doesn't know what to make of it. She thinks does know she's witnessing a felony or whatever.
A felony, yeah. Or whatever. Yeah.
Of course, after this,
she didn't complain.
Well, Kendall nearly came.
No, the girl is sucking on there.
Of course not. She
was happy.
She was enjoying it. Yeah. Anyway, Kendall gets a little upset because she feels like a little jealous. Not jealous, a little bit annoyed that he just went and sipped someone else's blood. Couldn't be helped because vampire.
He's hungry.
He's thirsty.
Yeah.
Anyway, they then head back home, and there he goes on to explain he wishes to be human again. Oh, and he wants to have
a baby,
have children because
he said something like, "I've always wanted to have a baby," and so he looked at him and said, "No, not me. With a lady." You know.
Yeah, I guess being a vampire, you
can't normally.
You can't normally have it because your system is out of balance.
Yeah, it's turned off. Yeah.
Anyway, he goes on to explain that he wants to tries to be human again.
Yeah,
of course,
himself,
the only way to do that is to restart his system, and that means
eating normal food
and doing other stuff to try to make him feel more normal again. Obviously,
and he got his digestive system back in order, and his blood pressure and different things, and all the other good groovy things which make you alive.
And Kendall offers to help, and she realizes this could be the chance for her to actually make her ideal man with Zachary.
See, my fair lady in reverse here. Hey.
Anyway, Dwight gets jealous, and he sends his private detective to find out everything he knows about Zachary, obviously. of course, when the detective goes on this trail of finding out as much as he could.
He can't find anything.
There's nothing. There's no birth certificates, no licenses, nothing.
There's no security numbers. There's no tax, whatever. It's all gone. Yeah, nothing there. Yeah.
Anyway, so Dwight also does his own investigationing, where he goes to he's got a key to Kendall's house. Somehow, I guess when they were dating, he had a key to her house. So
He did.
Anyway,
let himself in.
And speaking of letting someone else in, Narissa comes calling at Zach at the house
he
too.
Didn't secure the place too good, did he? Oh,
No.
What a friend's for.
Dwight gets really taken in by Narissa. She is so to die for beautiful.
This is a vampire movie.
And it's appropriate for her. And he kind of offers to make her drink, but she takes it literally and says, "I'm really sorry about that. I didn't know what came over me. Are you wearing boxers?" And that's probably what she was interested in, because she probably likes men with boxers. Boxers.
I don't know.
Underwear. Anyway, she tells him to prepare a zombie for him while she goes exploring the fireplace, hoping to find Zachary there.
Yeah.
Of course, while he's preparing...
But Zachary wasn't out, wasn't he?
No, he was out.
Having a party or something.
He and Marissa were coming back from wherever. Probably.
They came getting a pizza, didn't he?
Yeah, they came back with some pizzas and stuff. And there, Dwight gets introduced to Zach, and they talk a bit. And he finds out Zachary is a bit knowledgeable in... Well, what was the stuff that Dwight's interested in?
I started talking about insurances.
Yes.
And Dwight is really impressed with his knowledge, so he's offered him a job in the data analysis area, which does light work.
Yeah, so he offers him this job, and he goes on and leaves, of course. And this kind of excites Zachary, because he's finally going to get a job, and he's going to become a human being.
Yeah.
Anyway, he then goes on to start eating his pizza, or tries to. It's one of those. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Kendall goes down to the crypt because she bought something for the crypt, because they kind of cleaned the place up a bit.
It looks very nice.
Yeah.
Very much homes and garden stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and Narissa kind of sees her...
She's stuck in there.
Yes, I did mention Narissa snuck inside the fireplace to the crypt, obviously. There she confronts Kendall, and Zachary comes across her, and they talk about a little bit of old times, and she wants him to come and bite from Uncle Sam. Don't ask me why. But he says he doesn't want to be a vampire. He was lonely. This existence was...
Yeah, she left him.
Yeah. And he doesn't want that life for himself ever again. So she says, if you ever change your mind, ring my beeper, yada, yada, yada. So she leaves.
Here's my card, whatever. Yeah.
And Kendall and Zachary, they have a moment of you-know-what. And later on, much later on in the series, they go on a nice carriage ride in, I guess, considering they still do that sometimes, I think in New York, maybe.
I think around that, somewhere around Central Park, they still do horse and carriage rides.
Yeah, kind of period, which is kind of romantic too. And
he
then
felt comfortable with that.
Dwight, meanwhile, Zachary's working well at Dwight's firm, I think it is.
Yep.
And he's
I think he's CEO or something rather.
Yeah, CEO something. Yeah. And he's actually doing well, and he kind of tracked down some money that was going from place to place, and it was quite a great deal of money. And Dwight thinks, great, you did a good job. Time for promotion time. Wow, that is fast. Yeah. Oh wait, this is like almost a year, according to Zach, to get his system to work.
It's about a year. Yeah,
because according to Zach, it takes him a year to get his system back to normal, and he's doing so well. So anyway, it's time for him to actually do this in daylight time. So he's been doing this all the time in nighttime, so it means he might have to start working during normal office hours in the daytime, obviously, meaning no more night shifts for him, obviously.
Yeah, I used to work nights. It was real.
It takes a bit of time because
bad.
it's just like if you were suffering from jet lag, or not really. Seeing as he's a vampire, he's been probably doing this for all his life, so it's difficult to get back into sleeping regularly.
No, I still got a problem.
Same here. I can't sleep sometimes. Anyway, soon enough, he kind of does well at his job at Dwight's firm. And, oh yeah, I should mention, the detective that Dwight kind of hired actually finds evidence that Zachary is actually a vampire. He finds the crypt, and he also finds the answering machine that says, "Hello, I can't come to the phone right now. I'm dead." He could change something.
And obviously Dwight doesn't believe in. He thinks he's on drugs or drinking too much or something. Or,
So at this point, Zachary's his system is kind of kicking in now.
Yeah,
like
you're getting blood
he's
pressure
no
and
longer
stuff.
able to drink blood anymore because the blood taste is probably changing, making it salty and disgusting. Obviously, but it's not like he didn't like it in the first place. To be honest.
Exactly.
Anyway, so Vinny approaches Dwight with the information, and he just says that they're just hickey pictures, but they don't look like hickey pictures. They look like ordinary vampire bite pictures. Yeah,
it's two little dots,
And of course, Narissa hears about this, and she kind of hypnotizes the detective to say there is no such thing as vampires.
And then he bites him.
Yeah. Talk about really.
He was thirsty. Come on.
And she actually bites Dwight, as it turns out, and he freaks out, obviously, saying, "Oh, these goblins, it's so true, sort of thing." It's so funny, this dialogue he says. All the words he says in this movie is so weird.
It's a dweeb.
He also phones the police.
And he gets onto the same police lady. So continuing the repartee, is it?
Right.
And everything he says has got a double meaning, and it goes on. We don't want to say anything because that's part of the funny bit. You just have to watch.
Anyway,
it loses something in the translation.
He then goes to Kendall. I think she was about to celebrate with Zachary, because Zachary's now CEO of the Dwight's company now.
Yeah, he's just been promoted up, and Dwight has been
demoted.
Not demoted.
Or not demoted.
Dwight's job has been made redundant, and even though Dwight still is a part of the company and will get money out of it, he doesn't actually have a job anymore.
Yeah.
And Dwight wants to work. He doesn't want to be fed like a dog. Here's some food, go away. He wants to actually work. He enjoys the chase and using his creative talents and everything else.
Yeah.
And yada, yada, yada.
He goes to Kendall and tells her, he blames her. This is why I hate most about people who blame the people that they're introduced and feel like that it's your fault, you brought him into our lives, you sort this out, or this is all your fault sort of attitude.
Exactly.
I hate when that happens. I hate that. So, Dwight says, "You'll hear from my lawyer," yeah. It's just like the same.
Breach of promise, that's also,
Anyway, Anyway, Zach comes back to Kendall's house and realizes that they were kind of going to celebrate Zachary's being rehumanized, if that's the word. And she suggests that maybe we should move out and find a new place, stuff like that, because he wants to leave this whole life he had at this house behind him, or them.
Start a new life.
But Kendall doesn't want that because she loves Zachary, but she wants
He's turned into a yuppie.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah.
While this is happening, Narissa is at the house and she approaches Dwight, and Dwight plans with Narissa to try to revamp dear old Zachary. So Dwight could get his job back and stuff. He was going to say early in the first bit was he wants his job and Kendall back in his life. But he says, I'll sell for the business.
Yes.
I think he's, at this point, I don't think he cares for Kendall any more than I do. Or he does.
He
anyway.
doesn't care for Kendall because obviously he's not going to get it back.
No.
But he doesn't miss his work and his job. It's his baby, and he wants it back so he can feel useful and whatever.
So,
An alpha male thing.
So Narissa suggests that we vampirize him. So when Zachary's downstairs, they tackle him onto the chair, in the armchair, and Narissa attempts to bite him. And while this is happening, Kendall comes down and is about to
throw... having a threesome, yeah.
Yeah, but luckily enough, she pulls Narissa off, and she falls and hits her head, falls on the floor. And Zachary runs to her side, and she says that they're both fine. And she's rubbing her stomach, indicating that she's pregnant. And, of course, she mentions that the rabbit died in the hospital, and
came back to life and bit the nurse on the butt, wasn't it?
Zach is thrilled that they're having a
That's
baby,
cute.
but Kendall recorrects him and says, "I'm having a baby without you." And he says that they cannot do this to the fetus, because it wouldn't be fair to a child having no father. So he goes on to explain that is inside Kendall is what he's been dreaming about all his life, and Narissa even confirms it that Zachary has always wanted children, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
he's always been a family
of course, Zachary's willing to be a better person for Kendall, and Kendall suggests become a vampire again, and he's like, what? And she goes on to explain, I should never change in the first place because as a vampire, you were already perfect. And then Dwight says, reinstate me, become the
whatever he said.
The sort of consultant,
and
you'll be
consultant.
sort
He'll
of
still get his money.
Yeah, so he'll be still getting money through, but not working, obviously. Just like Dwight was going to be not working there, but he will be being paid without having to go to work, obviously.
Yeah, so Dwight gets his job back as whatever, he vice president or president or some other,
and
everything.
And Zachary will just be a consultant.
A homebody, he do what he likes, and and Kendall and Zachary live together and happily ever after.
Yeah, of course, Narissa offers to definitely get him back to being a vampire again in under probably a week.
She said, I'll make it a rush job. He'll be transformed by the weekend. Lovely.
Yeah. And as the sun is rising and Narissa's freaking out, so Kendall suggests, why don't you stay at our overnight, obviously, or day, whatever.
In the guest room.
Yes. So she goes downstairs to the crypt while Dwight goes out the front door, and he freaks out because he's unaware that you cannot be a vampire under one bite.
You've not got me doing it.
Yeah. He goes out the door with his jacket over his face, and as he's heading out, Kendall and Zachary are talking, and Zachary's asking Kendall, will the baby be ashamed of me? And she says, our baby will love you and stuff like that. And she says, after a while, when our baby's all grown up, you could bite me, and obviously, and so they can sort of become
together forever.
Yes,
yeah,
and
nice.
Even if they work really hard, they could turn into bats. She's kind of obsessed with the idea of them turning into bats.
Movies, hey,
yeah, well, the idea of flight can be kind of fun.
Well, be good, yeah.
And anyway,
save airfares when you're on holiday.
Yeah, then we fade out, and that's the end of the movie. Obviously, that's it. It's not a bad movie. I think it's funny, and it has a lot of funny mixed humor in this movie when I think about it.
I think so. Yeah. Now, what we have here is a situation in the movie where I don't know most of the actors. I think I've seen them in other things. Maybe television shows, or I can't remember. But only one I really know is Adam Ant.
Same.
And Mr. Ant has been around for a while. He was in Adam and the Ants, like I said before. I don't know his real name. And he's not a bad actor. It's good for comedy. He handled it quite well. The other people who around him, the lady who played Kendall, Kimberly Foster, but she was pretty good. And everyone sort of worked. It's just a funny show about a love-struck vampire.
And a love-struck woman who trying to find the perfect man, which she tries to.
And I'll stake my reputation on.
Well, she was trying to do it just like Mike said here about being a reverse Eliza My Fair Lady sort of thing. Or Pygmalion, obviously.
Well, Pygmalion was the book, My Fair Lady was a musical. Okay, get over it.
I know. Pygmalion's the same thing, obviously.
It is.
Anyway, it's sort of like that, only with a male, obviously.
Any pigs in a Pygmalion? No.
I do think it's an interesting take on the story where a woman trying to recreate the ideal man, using a vampire, obviously. It's like asking Frankenstein to be your ideal boyfriend. Frankenstein's monster.
He wasn't necessarily a self-made man, but he's well put together. Sorry.
Considering
I thought it was funny.
That would be so funny, but I guess even if there was such a thing as a Frankenstein monster, it will be difficult taking him out of public.
Fire, man. Yeah, whatever, get over it.
Not unless people... they really did a good surgery number like they did in that 1313 Mockingbird Lane spin-off.
He looked pretty good in that.
That was not too bad. Yeah, you could definitely take him out, obviously.
And his wife was pretty good.
Anyway, seeing as we don't have anything else to add, because we don't have reception and we don't have anything to discuss here, so let's rate this now.
Well, we will rate it. Now,
Yes.
I am going to be really nice here because I think it's a ruddy, funny movie. But I'm going to say one thing while I'm talking about it. There is another movie, which I don't know if we're reviewed. It's called Love at First Bite.
I remember that one.
And that has a vampire who's looking for love. And he's in Transylvania and he's getting these magazines from America. And he falls in love with a
Was
model.
that George Hamilton? In
Yeah,
that
George Hamilton. Yeah. And I think George Hamilton actually played a stage vampire as well. I think.
Cool.
I can't remember. But
Take your word for it.
Oh, no, that was John Waters. Yeah. But he played a very funny role.
Yeah.
But same sort of thing, Love Struck Vampire, comedy, but I don't know if we've done that one. But anyway.
Oh, well, actually, we did.
we?
In the first year of our podcast,
So,
we reviewed that one. And when we were doing that review, I wasn't sure whether to review this, at this,
but anyway,
that same year.
it is timely.
But I thought maybe we should wait. Sit on it until
Don't
later
sit on.
on.
That'd be rude.
Well, sit on it until we're good and ready, obviously. Not just do it right away, because we don't want to turn this into one of those podcasts where it just focuses on that same theme through the podcast.
So anyway, getting back to it, it is a good movie. It's funny. It's well acted. It's probably not as sharp as a good A movie, so I don't know what the budget was, but I'm still going to give it, say, 8.5.
Agreed. I'm going to give it, let me see, I think I'll definitely give it 8.5 out of 10 myself.
Yeah.
I think it's really good, and I thought the humor and the mixed messages were a lot of fun, listening to.
Yep.
Some people think it's bad. I think it's funny. I don't care about what other people think. And stuff like that. Even if it's disgusting or a bit weird, it's not important. It's enjoyable to watch.
It's fun. And when I think we need to laugh more.
I think we should.
Now, some of you out there, miserable. I mean, you're not happy, whatever. But you check with a doctor, endorphins. They get released in your body when you're happy.
Agreed.
And they make you feel better. And they make you happier, put your mind in a better place. Aches and pains can go down a little bit. So a good comedy, a good laugh.
Yeah.
A good sense of humour can go a long way to actually being therapeutic.
Yeah. I gotta admit, guys, when I think about old movies and old TV shows and stuff like that, I always go back to the old ones because they always had humour. No matter
it was basic humour, but it was
basic
funny.
humour.
Yeah.
No, I mean, while some people think it's always good to control how far you go in comedies, but I think that type of controlling could lead to. Well, just lead to the fact it won't be funny.
Sometimes it gets too controlled, and then it becomes formula, and then it gets too controlled, and it loses its sense of spontaneity and different things. It just feels so forced, and Oh, yeah, that was supposed to be funny. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
I think more people are worried about who it'll offend. Will it offend blacks,
nowadays,
African Americans?
political
Would it
correctness,
offend gay people? Would it
dickheads,
offend any sort of
religious groups,
stereotypes out there? Which
yeah.
maybe even some stereotypes could be offended, but others may not be offended.
Well, I'm not offended, but I don't count. Okay.
It's a big issue because a lot of people keep thinking if we control the comedy, we won't offend anyone. But the more you control it, the more or less you won't get laughs out of it.
You said it's boring. Yeah. Yeah, so what do you do? Hey, what do you do?
I mean, even some of the people out there who often do a review, I've encountered quite a few reviewers out there who often review movies that dabbled with stereotypes stuff, and they're not offended by it. They actually find it enjoyable. Hear that, guys? In Hollywood, enjoyable.
Okay.
That's what they don't feel offended. You're just talking to the wrong people when people talk about offending a group of people. They may not be offended.
Okay.
Anyway, it's my
I can
opinion.
say box. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just that I get annoyed when so many people think we're just rubbing the wrong people the wrong way. I don't know who they're talking about, the stereotypes they're talking
You can
to.
get social action groups saying, "Hey, let's pick on something. Oh, we don't like that book. We'll take a stance on this book and have it taken out of all our children's libraries at the schools and everything because we don't like it. We think it's inappropriate."
Yeah.
And there might be 20 people in the whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it on a record on 2 occasions where someone remarked in another review. They were saying that they were going to either not doing a season 2 for Wednesday, but actually someone commented and told me that that's not true, that they're still going to go through it and all that stuff. I don't know why people write false news like this. I mean, if you can't back it up with real information, don't write a review.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's the same with when people write death certificate. Well, you write what's the
obituaries.
The obituaries.
That obituary is a real one. But when people put a posting on Facebook or somewhere saying, "Oh, so and so's passed away" or something, rather than they really haven't passed away.
Yeah, I saw it several times on someone who did that.
That's really hurtful.
Yeah, and I don't buy it because the photos that they post don't look like they're Photoshop jobs. They're crummy looking. Yeah. Trust me, I do Photoshop, so I know exactly what I'm looking at.
And she's a filmmaker.
So I know what I'm looking at. So I do go and do my own research and find out whether that person did die, just to confirm it. And I find out, whoops, it's not really true. It's that the person is still alive and kicking. Just someone out there is doing it for the attention seeking.
Yeah, or just being a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
not good. Anyway, I don't know why we got on the subject. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just that there's some people out there who think it's newsworthy.
Where did we get it?
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
I'm glad you asked. Okay. I didn't see it on eBay.
Oh, that's a
wait a minute. Amazon, it looks like you can rent and buy it. You can stream it if you like. It's available on YouTube now. Tubi or Tubby or whatever, Tubi. I think you can see on that. I didn't look at Tubi, but the ordinary YouTube, the quality's a bit average. What else? Yeah, I don't think there's a torrent. I mean, if you could, it would be a good way to get a clean copy. But it's getting hard to get. So, if you want to have a look, Amazon rent or buy or other streaming services, you got there's probably several of them. So have a look around.
I agree.
Now, I think there's a animated series called Love Bites. Got nothing to do with this.
Okay.
It could be an anime or something. It's just it's a cartoon series.
When was that released?
I didn't look.
Okay,
I wasn't looking. I just saw that. I just saw it when I was going through eBay and Amazon. Oh, there we go. So make sure you get a real movie, which has Adam Ant in it, and possibly it might mention the director, producer, whatever, Malcolm Marmenstein. I wish I get my mouth around some of these names some days. Mum or Steen. Okay. So you've got those names pop up. You got the right product. There you go.
Yeah. So that's
about it.
Love Bites, guys.
Yeah.
So you know where to find it, and if you can, watch it on either YouTube or Tubi, and see for yourself if it's.
Tubi might be better than YouTube if you subscribe to Tubi.
Yeah, it's always good to check these things out so
Yeah.
you know exactly what you're gunning for and wanting to watch.
Mm.
So be sure to check it out, and let us know, like as always, to let us know what you guys think of it.
Exactly.
Also, guys, seeing as we're getting close to Halloween, we'll try to squeeze in as much Halloween-related content to you.
And I want to find some really stuff which you haven't necessarily seen. I mean, we might have to dig deep into our crypt, hey?
Yeah, we
And
might have to.
And open the doors and stuff and everything.
Yeah, I may be going to be very busy in the next couple of days. We're going to be doing our next film shoot, I hope, very soon. And I want to get as much filming done as possible, but I also want to get as much podcasting done as possible too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So be sure to check it out, and remember, guys, to also check me out on Fangirl Review, the other movie review vlog I developed. So be sure to check those ones out as much as possible too, and I'll be sure to post some Halloween stuff on there too, when I can. Okay.
Sounds good.
That's about it from us all, guys. So be sure to like and subscribe and comment on these videos as we go along, and we'll see you guys for our next video. This is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael.
saying see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Review. So I'll see you guys in our next episode. Bye for now.
Hi.